I am scared that I may not be able to live to see the day where humanity will discover a pathway to parallel universes. In this video, we're going to be investigating everything about Bayonetta's new Color My World guns, as well as trying to decipher what the heck is going to happen in this game from the actual lyrics of the song Color My World. Also, that may indicate that we are dealing with timeline manipulation. Now, when I adjusted the contrast, I saw a tiny bit of engraving on the gates of hell where I thought the silhouette was Mephisto arms. The only proof of this is actually Mephisto arms, which was in 2008 the original name for Radahn before they changed it. It's actually on the Platinum Games website, but if you see the first 4 figures edition, it says custom shot for the gates of hell. And to my surprise, while observing it again, that's what I believe it says on the Color My World guns. I tried to find triple-barreled guns of history and found out it was actually quite rare. But it was more slightly common for shotguns to have 3 barrels rather than pistols. There's excavations of a triple-barreled shotgun which was believed to be based on Leonardo da Vinci's drawings of the 15th century. But then, I came across the barrel revolving flintlock pistol, dated to be from the year 1775. Honestly, Cereza's new guns look extremely similar to these ones, where even the handle engravings seem based on it. Now, before you get too excited, these are only custom-made replicas which are inspired by the real-life pistols, which were used back in the day. Both Denix and Outfit for Events create awesome replicas, and if you want to check out their range of prop replicas, I've put links in the description if you want to check out their catalog later. Again, insanely similar to the point where I believe Mari Shimazaki saw these posts and videos dating back to 2013 while designing her new guns. But there is actually another instance in history where a 3-barreled pistol was used, and that is Japan's Type 90 3-barreled naval flare pistol. And just like the name suggests, it wasn't used for direct combat. They were used for signals by the Japanese in World War II, and Forgotten Weapons, an awesome channel, made an amazing summary for these guns themselves. What's a cool coincidence is that the actual company logo that produced this gun is similar to the Gankiel or the Triskelion logo that Radahn wore on his robe, or even the Trinity of Realities. Again, a very nice coincidence. But what do these have to do with parallel universes in Bayonetta 3? Well, we're going to have to look at the previous guns in order to answer that. The Color My World guns are a smashing upgrade from the previous generations. They are a set of purple firearms with magical gems on their barrels, which are obviously now 3. They are quite similar to the Umbran Sisters, much more than Love is Blue and Scarborough Fair. This could be a hint that this Cereza was eventually accepted amongst her Umbran sisters after she wasn't sealed. The design potentially grew on her and was eventually modernized by Radahn or Mephisto, all because she wasn't sealed. In contrast to our Bayonetta's Love is Blue and Scarborough Fair, which have a more Glock type of feel. So that is another thing to add on the list of this being alternate Cereza. It's up to you which interpretation you want to go with or which one ends up being true. I'm actually collaborating with Nebula Lubin to develop real-life Color My World guns that I'll make available for you guys all for cheap. Just 500 USD. Nah, I'm just kidding, I'm not first or figures. I said in a stream before that I wanted to make Bayonetta guns relatively cheap as a statement to quite the price tag you all saw. I'll be crafting them to the best of my ability for those who want to purchase one from Nebula Lubin and I. So if you want to get more Bayonetta 3 videos like this, or don't want to miss out on real-life Color My World guns, and a giveaway at that, smash the like button, subscribe, and turn on post notifications. Okay, back to the video. You see Madama Butterfly's wings and flowers, as well as Radahn's, or Mephisto's, Gates of Hell signature stamp near the gems. When they are being used, they emit a purple aura, unlike the red and blue from the previous games, and even have a more interpretive dance movement, unlike the martial arts-like movements of the previous 2. This is another clue to add to the things that point to this Cereza being the little one who grew up and is living in that alternate timeline we all theorized about. Again, why she has a different personality, her Lolita-style outfit, and her wider glasses. You can see in her first gameplay appearance how robust and flowing her movements are relative to her direct in-our-face style of Love is Blue and Scarborough Fair. Or maybe it's just an evolution, if this really is our Bayonetta, an evolution of her martial arts into something like interpretive dance, or more ribbon-like flowy type of dancing. You get what I mean. To me, it's like she's dancing rather than fighting. That's what I'm saying. Even in the train scene, she is literally twirling like a ballerina, which complements her Infernal Bonds or Demon Masquerade form so well. There are color charms attached to each one, just like her previous guns that have an insect motif, complemented with teardrop gems that really resemble the Umbran Tears of Blood that those crows wore. However, they are not all red, so it can be interpreted as the Umbran witches were never genocided like how we remember, in this timeline at least. So again, another hint to bring to the table that this is brave Cereza, who is now grown up. A white gem on her right hand gun with a bee charm, which could be symbolic of fertility, new beginnings, and a new life. A yellow gem on her left hand gun with a ladybug charm, symbolizing innocence, good fortune, and happy resolutions. A green gem on her right heel gun with a beetle charm, which symbolizes regeneration, renewal, and is sometimes referred to as the symbol of the sun, which could be a hint to her or this Cereza's Illumin Sage powers. Though in Europe, some have viewed it as the symbol of bad luck or a negative omen. Finally, a blue gem on her left feet gun with my favorite, a Dragonfly Charm, which symbolizes change, transformation, adaptability, and self-realization. Now, you can interpret these in two ways. The first way is to say that this is brave Cereza, who is a common thread with all of these symbols, who is grown up, because Scarborough Fair and Love is Blue didn't have insect-themed charms. Or two, this is our Bayonetta at her strongest point after both events of Bayonetta 1 and Bayonetta 2. In our first theory video that I uploaded a few hours after the trailer was released, I remember finding the engraving for Yellow Sunshine, which was also featured on a Screen Rant article, which I am eternally grateful for. But I theorized that it will follow the motif of the song's lyrics, but inverted. Therefore, Yellow Sunshine, Green Grass, Blue Sky, and Orange Blossom, which are all respective names of the guns that we named. To really grasp the reason why Color My World exists, we have to understand the previous generations. Scarborough Fair, Simon and Garfunkel. A modernized version was released in 1966. Love is Blue, Paul Marriott, released in 1968, and Color My World was released in 1966, the same year as Scarborough Fair's modernized version, further emphasizing the connection to Bayonetta 1. Scarborough Fair and Whittingham Fair are deemed to be variants of the Elfin Knight, which can be traced back to the late 1600s. It's quite clever since they are going with the multiversal Nexus event that we mentioned in the 90th episodes. So cleverly, if they are variants in the real songs, like how Scarborough Fair is a variant song to Whittingham Fair, what if these Cerezas are variants of each other from different timelines and different universes? Our Bayonetta that we know and love could be of the sacred first timeline, and the others are just variants. I'm not going to be talking about the climax songs Fly Me to the Moon and Moon River, since we haven't got the third climax song. I'm just going to be referring to the guns for now. Love is Blue, the song, really emphasizes figuratively how blue the world is, how dim it is, and how joy has been stripped away. I like to see this as a dark foreshadowing of the ending. Like, sure, they did get rid of Lopter and the Eyes of the World, but it was only a we defeated the wrong enemy kind of trope, or like how we accidentally started a much bigger problem with the Eyes of the World now gone, even literally saying the rainbow is gone. Which is a very nice contrast because in Color My World, the whole song is both signifying, literally and figuratively, the ability to bring joy to the narrator's or the singer's world again. I don't see any other connection to Scarborough Fair other than the modernized release dates of 1966. Both Whittingham Fair and Scarborough Fair have slight differences, but the main premise of both songs is how true love is essentially impossible, or at least that's how I interpret it. The narrator says tasks that are so difficult, such as sewing a cambric shirt without no seams or needlework, which is finalized by the motif, then she'll be a true love of mine. But in all seriousness, the connection between these two songs and how they are symbolic contrasts of each other just keep telling me that we defeated the wrong enemy in Bayonetta 2, or we left something that should have been fixed, i.e. the eyes disappearing or the multiverse about to happen. This really ties in with my 50th episode where we theorized that Lopter was actually preparing us for a much bigger threat, the threat being Lilith, where Loki was actually the evil half whose main goal was to destroy the Eyes of the World for Lilith to arrive. I'm just getting chills thinking about that fanfic. In terms of the Madama butterfly wings on the grip, in contrast to a different looking Madama, is one of three possibilities. One, this is brave Cereza, who we raised, who is now grown up, and broke her contract with Madama Butterfly at some point after the witch hunts. Two, this is our Bayonetta, and this is Madama Butterfly's upgraded look, just like with her other demons. Or three, my favorite, after the events of Aesir, this is our Bayonetta, and Radahn had sealed Madama Butterfly into these guns, and therefore Bayonetta had to contract another Madama. It's possible that this new looking Madama Madama has the ability to create that infernal bond or infernal demon, or sorry, demon masquerade that Madama Butterfly couldn't possibly do. So that's why I'm either calling it an evolution to Madama Butterfly or someone completely different. I'm still a bit iffy with the last one due to the fact that our Bayonetta and Madama Butterfly were so closely knit for a very long time, but let me know why you think there is a new design for this 3'S's Madama. The basis of the Color My World song by Petula Clark is the narrator desiring a world of joy, keeping the optimistic mindset about the current events and the future to come. This was released in 1966, which was essentially the middle of the Cold War, where tensions between North Vietnam and the US were at its peak, and concurrently, inflation grew as an attempt to fund both the war and the space race to the moon. The fight for equal rights were happening, President Kennedy being assassinated, and it's been 3 years since a certain iconic speech was spoken. Color My World uses groovy instruments coupled with the wavy movement of rainbow colors in her live performance. It's cool to think that this seems like the style you'd hear in the 70s, so you can say that Petula Clark was ahead of her time. It's also important to know that color TV, while invented in 1954, was not as common in American households. Over 98% didn't have color TV, but it was more common than us having PS5s in the 21st century. Anyways, in 1966, the song's release, color TV was broadcasted, but it was still in its infancy. Luckily, it was in good timing to the song's lyrics and the live performance. It actually seems quite fitting for the mentality of back then. Color TV is really new, or it's still in its infancy, so you want to try as much styles as possible, so you blast so many colors. Maybe that's why the 70s were so wavy and groovy all of a sudden. They wanted to not exploit, but just experiment with colors. Or maybe it was just the use of psychedelics, whatnot. You can listen to the song for yourself first, and of course the face value of what the song really is saying is joyful, and on top of her joyous optimism, she references finally finding true love. If you were to contrast it with Scarborough Fair's Love is Impossible motif, it's the opposite. And also, as we've mentioned before, Love is Blue talks about how the world is so dim, while Color My World is exactly the opposite. It's actually telling us to color that world that was so dim. I am nerding out to the absolute antithesis of Bayonetta's guns names with their predecessors. That is beautiful. To me, it's like a full circle of what started everything, a culmination of the final arc of the Eyes of the World saga. In Bayonetta 1, you start with the Eyes of the World, in Bayonetta 2, you destroy the eyes, and in Bayonetta 3, we are reaping the consequences, or at least facing the detriments of destroying the Eyes of the World. Just to add in, every time I come across a song that is essentially propagating an overly optimistic message, I always feel like it's trying so hard to tell you to look at one side of the story. Of course, realistically, I don't think Petula Clark's message of Color My World is that. This is just my interpretation of overly happy songs in general. Now, I'm not talking about those feel-good songs that you use, to get ready for the gym or for your work day or school day. I'm talking about those songs that the CIA would use to brainwash people into something else, given enough time. A great example of this is Peaceful Sleep by Kichi Okabe from Nier Automata. Again, Nier Automata spoilers, if you are worried about them. You stay at your base at the start of the game with this beautiful, enriching, lovely song, and at the end, it's one of the most saddest yet fulfilling endings of all time that ends in complete anarchy. I even said to the stream how this song, and at the time I haven't played Nier Automata yet, I even said how this song makes me feel like something bad is going to happen. All I'm saying is that if the song Color My World is in any connection to Bayonetta 3's story, it's going to be a sad one towards the end. Much sadder than Bayonetta 1. I've had this feeling that if the separated Cereza interpretation is true, that our Bayonetta will meet Brave Cereza in time, with Helena Taylor not reprising her role in future Bayonetta games. I have a feeling that our Bayonetta might die, passing the torch onto Brave Cereza, who we'll see in Bayonetta 4 onwards. Of course, I do not want this to happen. We said this ages ago in our previous theories about Brave Cereza being possessed by Lilith versus our Bayonetta, where our Bayonetta sacrifices her life to unpossess Brave Cereza from Lilith, or whoever the final antagonist or major antagonist is in Bayonetta 3. Essentially, that gives our Bayonetta her redemption of being unable to protect her mother Rosa from dying. It would be her saying, I failed to protect my mother, so I'll succeed to protect my child. type of plotline, you know, for dramatic effect. And again, I do not want that to happen. It's a very, 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 very minuscule chance of happening. All I'm saying is that it's a possibility. You also just have that simple yet believable possibility, thanks to Crazy Gal, that Color My World is both a literal and figurative method of saving the world from the Armageddon, which is why the world in the trailer so far is so dull and grayscale. I'm pretty sure that this is why the guns are called Color My World, don't worry. I realistically think if there is parallel universes in the Bayoverse, the second Armageddon will have finished and the world is saved, and our Bayonetta and John will say goodbye to their variants. That's the saddest part. I high-key want some tragedy in the Bayonetta 3 game, so that way it sets us up for Bayonetta 4 or a completely new saga. Just like how in, spoilers for No Way Home by the way, how Peter Parker had an insane amount of tragedy and heartfelt distress in the third sequel. I think to have a successful third sequel in a franchise, and I was just talking about this yesterday, that you do need some kind of we won the battle but not the war type of feeling, a sort of distressing, eerie type of feeling that the main character or the main protagonist feels, so that way they will carry it on and improve themselves in the next saga. Just my cup of tea. Or at least that's how I would write an interesting conclusion to a trilogy. So anyways, John and Bayonetta, or Team Bayonetta, will say goodbye to the variants, finishing it off with Let's Dance Boys. I really hope they put a dance routine at the end. But even for me, I feel having multiple timelines, let alone 2 timelines, is hard to follow. And I realistically believe this is our Bayonetta, or even one half of Bayonetta, just like those 4chan rumors. I said this before in my second Bayonetta 3 2021 trailer video, where I had a theory that either Bayonetta and her variants, or split Bayonetta, whichever theory you may choose, will end up being Jubileus, Sheba, and possibly Omni, in which the second Armageddon is actually the first Armageddon. The Young Boulder time loop was just a small tease of what the big picture really was. This is similar to our real-world universe, where people have theorized that the Big Bang was a result of the Big Crunch and vice versa. The death of our universe, where everything is just one whole loop. This could be the case for Bayonetta 3 with Jubileus and Sheba being proof. Or at least that's what they want us to think for this game. I have a feeling that we'll find out that the Bayoverse is in a huge loop. However, this iteration of our Bayonetta will be the one to finally stop it. And that is what the breaking of the third logo may mean. You and I may not be alive when parallel universes become a reality. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't guide your universe to a happy ending. I'm Rakunx, and never get disheartened.